What's up, fellow readers? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about, I know I have a problem, book haul. Welcome to the video. If that sounds like something that's interesting for you, definitely stick around for this video. We have a couple of special editions. We have a couple of book of the month books that came in, and we have a new author that I absolutely fell in love with, and I decided I must have a hard copy version of this book because it just hit me so hard. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, definitely stick around for the video. It's reading time here at JB's Corner. The first book that I want to talk about is actually a book that arrived in the mail yesterday, and this is a special edition book that I had ordered from Fairy Loot earlier this year. And when I say earlier, I want to say like January or February, and it finally came in, and that is none other than Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace. Now, anyone who has read the Dream Harbor series, I believe it's the Dream Harbor series, I want to say. Maybe not, but it's the Icebreaker series basically. So Icebreaker, and then it also has Wildfire, and then Dream Something, which I haven't read yet, which is Henry's book. She is the same author who wrote those series for, is it the Maple? This is going to bother me now. I will have the correct series for Hannah Grace at the bottom of this description. I'm sorry that I cannot think of it off the top of my head because I'm pretty sure the Dream Harbor series is incorrect. You know what? It's going to bother me. Hold on one second. I'm going to tell you right now. What is it a part of? So we have Daydream, Icebreaker, and Wildfire. Those are the titles within this series. And this is part of the, you know what, I probably should have pulled out the second book in the series, shouldn't I? It's Maple Hills. That's what it's called, Maple Hills, which is based on the university that they are attending. Correct. That makes a lot more sense. I think Dream Harbor is actually all of the Lori Gilmore books, so I apologize for that. Anyways, the Maple Hills romance series, she's the one that wrote those. They are hockey romance, and so far they have been very cute and enjoyable. And Holiday Ever After is her version for a Christmas story. Let's talk about how cute this cover is. Look how gorgeous that is. And then on the back, it says, Clara Davenport. I'm a mess today, guys. Clara Davenport wants to solve Fraser Falls' biggest problems. According to Jack Kelly, Clara is Fraser Falls' biggest problem. So I think that's very cute. Inside, it says, all Clara Davenport has ever wanted to do is climb the ladder at Davenport Innovation Creative. Everything was going to plan until the company was accused of stealing a doll design from an independent toy maker. With her promotion dangled in front of her, Clara is tasked with charming the locals of the small town of Fraser Falls and solving the PR nightmare by any means necessary. Jack Kelly would happily never hear the name Davenport ever again. So when Clara, with her long legs and dazzling smiles, prances into town hoping to convince them that her company is not the enemy, Jack is determined not to be fooled by Davenport twice. Clara's plan to win over the community should have been easy, but she didn't account for Jack getting in her way and under her skin at every turn. And when the tension between them starts to boil over, she realizes that beneath his frosty demeanor lies the key to the hound's heart, and maybe even her own. I thought that sounded so sweet. It just sounds like such a cute little romance for the holidays. And so I was very excited to pick this up. I also love the fact that there are little embellishments on the actual cover for the book as well. Here is the cover itself. It is absolutely gorgeous. I am obsessed with how pretty this cover is. Like, look at that snowman. Does that not make you feel like you're standing in the middle of Christmas? Oh, I love the holidays. Here is the beautiful inner cover. Look at the puppy. Look at the snowflakes. I'm so obsessed. I'm so obsessed. I love a good redhead story too. Like, look how cute they are. And then we have, of course, the beautiful painted edges. So Fairy Loot has definitely outdone themselves with this lovely copy. I am very excited to have this beautiful copy of this book. And I do believe that she signed the book as well. And so here we can see her lovely signature from the author herself. And I'm just very pumped to add this book to my collection. The next book in this list is the furthest away you can get from Christmas, and that is Women's Horror, I want to say, as the collection. And it is an Ira Levin book, and it is none other than the Stepford Wives. Now, I actually really enjoyed the movie that Nicole Kidman did, and there was another version prior to that that also came out, which I have yet to see. I would eventually like to do a video where it literally compares the physical book to the movie, and I don't know how I'm going to film that, which is why it has not happened yet. But I have a couple of series in mind that I really want to showcase in that video, which includes Bridgerton, Stepford Wives, Harry Potter, all of these different things. And I just haven't figured out how to film it, but I will do it. But I will say that this book was mind-blowing for me. I absolutely adored this book. I don't know if it was because of the time that I'm in. I don't know if it's because of what's happening in the world right now. I don't know what made this book so relatable to me today, but it was just one of those books that held me captive. And I decided I must have the original hardback of this book, and I just love the pink and the red and the white. I just think it's such a beautiful book and so appropriate for the vibes of the story, simultaneously while it is so dark at the same time. This is definitely a work of art. That's all I can say. I really, really enjoyed the Stepford Wives. I think Ira Levin's just idea that he's created with this novel, and the idea of like a trophy wife, and how far people are willing to go for the idea of the perfect quote unquote woman, as well as the idea of the perfect Stepford life, was just so cringe and so like skin crawling in its own right. Like, it was just such a well done book. Cannot rave about this book enough. I could see myself picking this up again in like October, November time. I can see myself picking it up again in March. It's just one of those books where I feel like it barely takes any time to read because it's such a short book. I think the book in total is like less than 200 pages, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the total book is 180 pages, and that is including the afterword. Without the afterword, we're at 172 pages. So it's super, 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 super short. And it's divided into 3 parts. Very, very, very easily readable. And I just think Ira Levin's a genius. Loved this book. Next up, Rules for the Summer, which is the second book in the series by Megan Quinn, released. And I was very excited to be able to pick this up. This is also the special edition copy. I believe the first one is called Till Summer Do Us Part, and it's actually sitting right there on, where am I pointing? Let's go this way. There we go. Right there on the shelf. So I'm very excited to have the second book in the series. Here is the beautiful, beautiful painted edges. Let's read the back together. He clicked yes on a dare. She bought a failing candy shop. They set rules for the summer and broke every single one. Renly Gossage has one shot to prove she's more than Cape Meryl's favorite cautionary tale. Restore her favorite candy shop before the town writes her off like they did her father. No help, no shortcuts, and definitely no rich men wielding engagement rings and making things messy. Theo Williams never planned on ending up in Cape Meryl. A drunken game of truth or dare turned into a botched online engagement, and now he's across the ocean escaping his father's control with nothing but designer shoes, misplaced confidence, and a rental next door to Renly. She's practical, stubborn, and covered in paint. He's posh, persistent, and willing to use a sander if it means earning her trust. Their summer rules were meant to protect them both, but between collapsing drywall, gossiping neighbors, and the chaotic schemes of Renly's aunt, their forced proximity turns into something dangerously close to real. Except Renly's future depends on standing on her own 2 feet, and Theo's past isn't done with him yet. But the time the candy shop doors open, they'll have to decide if this is just a summer fling or the happily ever after neither of them saw coming. So I think this one should be cute. I really like the idea of Renly's character. She sounds really strong and very powerful and very motivated to be of her own independence and a strong woman, and I love characters like that. I also love the fact that it sounds like Theo, even though he comes from wealth, is actually still trying to find his voice and his sense of self, and I think it'll be really cute to see how the two of them balance each other out, with her tenacity and her hard work and his kind of let's go, what is the word, happy-go-lucky vibes. I think it's going to be really fun to read this particular book. Next up on the list, one of my favorite childhood authors that I used to read in high school voraciously, Sarah Dessen, finally released a new book after years. I think it's been almost 7 years since she published a new book. So when I saw that she had released a new young adult book, I had to pick it up. Look how beautiful this painted edge is as well. It's just so absolutely stunning. Let's figure out what it's about together, shall we? Finley has always felt more comfortable in someone else's shadow. Fortunately, she's got Colin, her magnetic boyfriend, who sweeps her along for activities, friendships, and future plans. Honestly, sounds a little bit like one of my other favorite books by her, which is... Hold, please. The Truth About Forever. That's what the other one is called. I'm absolutely obsessed with that. And then the main character in that book was also kind of tied up in her perfect boyfriend. So it feels like that kind of vibe as I read this. Then she goes on a last-minute trip with her distant mom to a family vacation house that Finley didn't know existed and is now about to be sold. Her mom has been estranged from her own parents and siblings since leaving home for college, and it's a novelty for Finley to see her aunts and cousins, as well as to meet a handful of teens who work at the Egg, her aunt's diner, and make up for found family of their own, including undeniably dreamy guitarist Ben. Then her relationship with Colin goes into freefall, and Finley's roadmap for life after high school is gone. She has no choice but to live for the first time without plans. The longer Finley stays, the closer she gets to the truth about why her mother stayed away and why she's brought Finley here now. And the closer she grows to new friends at the Egg, the more she starts to fall for charmingly awkward, soulful Ben and to realize how much of herself she's been missing. By the end of the summer, nothing will be the same for the community or for Finley herself. It just sounds so cute. It sounds so sweet. It honestly feels like it's pulling on a lot of other novels that Sarah Dessen has written, but I'm very excited to see Finley's journey, and I love the fact that in every single one of her books, while the male characters are definitely wonderful characters to read, and they definitely do play a role in the female character's journey, they are not the end-all be-all of the female's growth, and that's what I love about the feminine characters in these books. And I'm very excited to see Finley's journey as she grows out of her safety zone into this kind of self-sufficient, independent woman that she has to be. And as she deals with what happens in life when change comes your way, whether you expect it or not, and may derail your long thought out plans. Last but not least, I have the 4 books that I ended up selecting for the month of May as my book of the month books. The first one that I ended up picking up was Dissection of a Murder. This is by Jo Murray. A dead judge, a silent defendant, and a courtroom full of liars. Definitely felt like the right kind of book for me. Nothing is as it seems, and no one is telling the truth. In this page-turning thriller about a young lawyer forced to defend a man on trial for murder against the mentor who taught her everything, her husband. When Layla Reynolds is handed her first murder case, she's shocked by the victim, a well-known, well-respected judge whose death sent shockwaves through the legal community. She's also incredulous. She's nowhere near experienced enough to handle such a high-profile assignment, but the defendant is insistent. He wants her and only her to represent him. Except he's refusing to talk, and if that wasn't complicated enough, Layla soon learns her opponent is the most ruthless prosecutor she's ever known, her husband. It's an impossible situation, yet Layla is determined to sway the jury, until she's blindsided once again by a shadowy figure from her past. Suddenly, Layla finds herself fighting not only for her client and marriage, but also to keep her own secrets buried. And if she has to rewrite the rules to win, so be it. So it sounds like there's going to be a little bit of a gray area in this book, especially with our main character, and I do think that the storyline sounds really interesting. I'm very, very, very excited to pick up this book and read it. I have a feeling I'll probably get to it around March of next year, which is usually my big thriller month, but I may also throw in an extra thriller month this year. I haven't decided, but this definitely sounds like I'm right up my alley, and I'm so excited for it to end up on the shelf. I also ended up picking up This Story Might Save Your Life. This was actually a selection from March 2026 that sounded so fascinating to me. Again, a very much thriller vibe. And I finally decided that it was time to add it to my shelf, even though I didn't get it at the time it first was released. It says, best friends Benny and Joy like to say they've been saving each other's lives since the moment they met, until the day Joy disappears and Benny is suspected of her murder. Benny Abbott and Joy Moore host one of the most beloved podcasts in the world. Each week, they delight listeners with different, against all odds, survival story, gleefully finding the weird, life-affirming humor in near-death experiences. Since their first episode on Joy's experience with severe narcolepsy, they've been best friends everyone wants to be friend. And thanks to the meticulous management of Joy's husband, Xander, they've built a lucrative empire. The problem is their next survival story may be their own. When Benny arrives at Joy and Xander's home one morning to record, he finds shattered glass and an empty house. The one clue shedding light on the couple's disappearance is the incomplete, previously unseen first draft of Joy's memoir. Benny will stop at nothing to find them, even as the police soon zero in on him as their prime suspect. Millions of devoted listeners think they know the real Benny and Joy, but as hours tick by and odds seem increasingly stacked against Joy and Xander being found alive, not even the most devoted fans can guess the terrible secrets their favorite famous BFFs have hidden from the world and from each other. So again, sounds really interesting. I like the idea of the breadcrumbs and like trying to figure out who may have abducted them or where the two characters may have disappeared off to. I like the fact that it kind of gives me a little bit of a Simple Favor kind of vibe. I don't know for sure if that's what this is going to be, but it kind of gives me that vibe, and I'm just really excited to go on this journey and this thriller mystery storyline with Benny as he tries to figure out where Joy and Xander have gone. Next up, I ended up picking up a June 2024 book, which was Margot's Got Money Troubles. This book was actually popularized by Book of the Month, and it was selected. And I think it's also one that I wanted to pick up and finally read because it's actually been turned into a TV show and it's been getting a lot of recognition. This book is basically following a woman who has had a very troubled past, deals with a lot of issues herself, and now finds herself in a position where she is pregnant and soon to be expected to be raising a child on her own. As the child of a Hooters waitress and an ex-pro wrestler, Margot Millet's always known she'd have to make it on her own. So she enrolls at her local junior college, even though she can't imagine how she'll ever make a living. She's still figuring things out and never planned to have an affair with her English professor. And while their affair is brief, it isn't brief enough to keep her from getting pregnant. Despite everyone's advice, she decides to keep the baby, mostly out of naivete and a yearning for something bigger. Now, at 20, Margot is alone with an infant, unemployed, and on the verge of eviction. She needs a cash infusion, fast. When her estranged father, Jinx, shows up on her doorstep and asks to move in with her, she agrees in exchange for help with childcare. Then Margot begins to form a plan. She'll start an OnlyFans as an experiment. She soon finds herself adapting some of Jinx's advice from the world of wrestling, like how to craft a compelling character and make your audience fall in love with you. Before she knows it, she's turned into a runway success. Could this be the answer to all of Margot's problems, or does internet fame come with too high a price? Blisteringly funny and filled with sharp insight, Margot's Got Money Troubles is a tender tale starring an endearing young heroine who's struggling to wrest money and power from a world that has little interest in giving it to her. It's a playful and honest examination of the art of storytelling and controlling your own narrative, and an empowering portrait of coming into your own, both online and off. This one sounded really fascinating to me. I think initially I was struggling with the idea of reading about a woman who was so troubled. But I think as I started digging into the story more and I kind of was introduced to the TV show, I thought this would be a fun one to pick up and read, and very, very, very appropriate for not this month, but next month's reads that I have in mind for the July TBR. Last but not least in this haul, we have The Shippers by Katherine Center. This has been a long anticipated novel for me. I love Katherine Center, so when I found out that her new novel was coming out, I knew I had to get my hands on it. It is obviously going to be a typical classic romance, but there's just a way that Katherine Center tells a story that sucks me in and leaves me wanting more. She wants him to help her woo someone else. Genius, foolproof, can't go wrong. After a lifetime of being bad at love, JoJo Burton vows to solve her intimacy issues once and for all. At her sister's destination wedding on a cruise ship, armed with pop psychology, she diagnoses herself with a fixation on the neighborhood guy who was her first crush and first kiss, and who just happens to be a newly divorced wedding guest. Determined to woo him for closure, she ropes in her childhood bestie, Cooper Watts, as her wingman. Cooper, who RSVP'd no, but showed up anyway. Cooper, who moved to London without a word 4 years ago. Cooper, who broke her heart. Shipboard antics abound in this witty, heart-tugging childhood friends to lovers romance as JoJo and Cooper team up, fake flirt, slow dance, share a cabin, sing duets, get jealous, answer long-held questions, and finally, at last, discover truths about each other that will change everything. I love a good childhood romance, second romance, like lover book, and it's just this one screams me. So I'm very excited to read this. This will definitely make it into the summer reads at some point, and I could definitely see myself picking it up for this month as well. As you can see, I am still crafting my June TBR, so stick around. That video will be coming out soon. But if you guys made it this far, thank you so much for watching. That is the entire book haul that I have for you guys today. I hope you guys like the titles. Let me know if you've read any of those books. Let me know what you think of them in the comments. If any of these books sound inspiring to you, or you feel like you see yourself picking them up in the future to read them, definitely let me know about that too. I always love to hear what you guys are reading. If there's a book you think I need to read based on these authors, please let me know. I absolutely adore books, and I am so excited to be sharing this reading journey with you, and I can't thank you enough for sitting here and spending your day with me watching this video. For those of you that are new here, thank you again for clicking on this video, and if you do want to be a part of the bookish community, I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday and would love to see you back. Definitely consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell. For all of my subscribers and all of my OGs, I cannot thank you enough for all of your support, all of your love, all of the comments that you guys leave me as we're building this bookish community together. And it just really motivates me to continue reading and to continue making these videos as we share our love of literature. And it would not be possible without each and every one of you. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for clicking on the videos. Thank you for taking a moment out of your busy lives to be here with me. And I'll leave everybody with this. Wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, evening, or night, I hope you're feeling safe, secure, loved, and that you're getting plenty of time for self-care, rest, and reading. I will catch you guys on the flip side with the next video. Bye.